Sacramento County Sheriff's Department.
Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy involved in a big crash.
Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies nearly run over themselves and a suspect.
Of a crash involving a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy accused of backing over a cyclist.
After the sheriff's SUV hit the protester, the law enforcement officer in that vehicle took off.
From a tragic crash involving a sheriff's deputy and a little girl who now has permanent brain damage.
Glad a Sacramento Sheriff's deputy is okay after crashing into a power pole.
Witnesses tell us they watched deputies slow the patrol car down, followed by screaming.
Looked at as people in our community that should have the highest situational awareness, regardless of whatever situation.
This video is going to be focusing specifically on the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department and the significant amount of vehicular accidents they've been involved in over the past 10 years. I'm going to go over a list of 10 separate incidents, 5 of which happened last year in 2021 alone. So we're going to start at number 10 with the oldest incident on the list, and then work our way up to number 1 with the most recent. Number 10, March 6, 2011, a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was headed to a call with lights and sirens on when he T-boned an ambulance while going through an intersection. The ambulance flipped over and ended up landing in a nearby resident's backyard. The 2 paramedics in the ambulance were injured, but still got out and helped to assist the sheriff's deputy, who suffered significant facial injuries, and the paramedics were later transported to the hospital for treatment themselves. Number 9, March 7th, 2012, a Sacramento County Sheriff K-9 unit was responding to a call for a stolen bike, traveling 107 miles per hour through a red light while looking at his computer with no lights or sirens on, and collided with a citizen who was turning left through the same intersection. The deputy told CHP he was only going 70 miles per hour at the time of the crash, but after they reviewed his dash cam footage, they found out he was actually going 107 miles per hour at top speed with no lights or sirens on. The citizen was sent to the hospital and suffered broken ribs and back injuries. Sac Sheriff said the deputy still works at the department, but they won't disclose what disciplinary action, if any, was taken against the deputy. Number 8, July 14th, 2017, a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was speeding at more than 80 miles per hour headed to a call with no lights or sirens on when he collided with the family who was turning left in front of him. 2 young children were seriously injured, 1 left with permanent brain damage. Sacramento County paid out nearly $27 million in a settlement for the crash. Number 7, March 31st, 2018. A 62-year-old woman was out with a group of about 100 community members protesting the unjustified murder of Stephon Clark when the protest reached an intersection near Sacramento County Sheriff's substation. The woman was holding a sign and marching with the group in the street when they passed by 2 Sac Sheriff SUVs. One of the sheriff's cars lunged forward and struck the 62-year-old woman as she crossed in front of him and just drove away. The deputy who hit the woman claimed he did not know he hit her until he got back to the station and later reviewed his dashcam footage. Only 2 days later, Sacramento County Sheriff Scott Jones, while speaking at a press conference, made comments suggesting that the community members were paid protesters who purposely agitated the deputy before he punched his gas pedal and struck the 62-year-old woman with his vehicle. Her medical bills totaled almost $43,000 for injuries to her head and arm, but the California Highway Patrol claims the woman was at fault for the accident. Number 6, September 1st, 2020. A Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was responding to a call with his emergency lights on just after midnight when he crashed into a citizen's vehicle near the intersection of Alta Arden and Howe Avenue. The sheriff's deputy suffered minor injuries in the crash, but the citizen driving the other vehicle was ejected from his car and flew 30 feet into a nearby parking lot. The citizen suffered major head injuries, but likely had his life saved by an ER doctor who happened to be driving by the scene of the accident right after it occurred. Number 5, April 7th, 2021, a Sacramento County Sheriff's K-9 unit was responding to a vehicle pursuit in Carmichael when the deputy crashed into another citizen's vehicle. The deputy's vehicle ended up completely flipped over, and the pursuit was called off afterwards because the suspect's car was lost. Luckily, no major injuries were reported. Number 4, May 18th, 2021, a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was involved in a collision with another citizen's vehicle at the intersection of Stockton Boulevard and Lemon Hill Avenue. Pictures from the incident show significant front-end damage to the Sac Sheriff SUV. Not much information on the citizen who was hit or their car, but no major injuries were reported. Number 3, July 21st, 2021. A 65-year-old bicyclist was sent to the hospital after a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy backed up into them and ran them over while, quote, maneuvering in reverse to orient the patrol vehicle on the roadway, end quote. The deputy kept driving and didn't stop until a call came in reporting a person was just hit by a marked sheriff's SUV. The bicyclist was treated for non-life-threatening injuries, while California Highway Patrol and the Sac Sheriff Internal Affairs Division are still investigating the incident. Number 2, October 28th, 2021. A Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy was out driving when he hit and killed a man who was standing in the road. The incident occurred on Franklin Boulevard near Core Road just after 10 p.m., and the 37-year-old man who was hit died at the hospital the next day. Number 1, November 4th, 2021. 2 Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies were patrolling Watt Avenue when a man allegedly threw an object at their windshield while they were driving by. According to reports, the deputies chased the man, tased him, picked him up, and slammed him on the concrete. While all this was going on, their patrol vehicle started rolling backwards because the driver forgot to put it in park. The SUV picked up speed and kept rolling backwards. One deputy ran to get in and hit the brakes to stop the vehicle, but the SUV ended up hitting the second deputy and then ran over the man who was now in handcuffs. The patrol vehicle backed over the man's legs, but luckily he didn't suffer from any broken bones. I put in a records request with the County of Sacramento to find out how many auto liability claims the Sheriff's Department has received over the last 10 years. Clearly there's a pattern here, a very frequent pattern. So frequent, in fact, that while I was waiting for my records request to be fulfilled, we had yet another Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy crash his patrol vehicle into a power pole on January 17th, 2022. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but the crash left 171 nearby residents without electricity for a number of hours, all stemming from what seemingly should have been an avoidable situation, especially for a law enforcement officer who goes through 32 hours of emergency vehicle training before they're trusted with their own vehicle. I also wanted to point out how one report says the deputy hit a pothole and veered off the road, while another says the deputy misjudged a turn and lost control of his vehicle. So, which is it? I received my records request from the county, and according to their own numbers, there have been a total of 409 auto liability claims filed against the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department over the last 10 years from 2011 to 2021. So what's the cause behind such a high rate of crashes and accidents among the Sheriff's Department in Sacramento? I reached out to the Sheriff's spokesman, Sergeant Rodney Grassman, to try and get some answers, and this was his response. Basically, he just broke down how much vehicle training each deputy goes through, told us about the new fleet software they're implementing in each vehicle, and at the end made a statement saying the Sheriff's Office will continue to seek out new and relevant training regarding vehicle operations in conjunction to providing existing, continual, and mandated training to our personnel. So that sounds good and all, but it still doesn't answer the question of why we've had so many accidents with the Sheriff's Department, especially just in the last year alone. Like I told Sergeant Grassman, the main concern here is not only the wasted tax money that's used to investigate and pay for injuries, damages, and settlements in these accidents, but also the safety of the public first and foremost. Sergeant Grassman made a statement saying the department operated 740 vehicles that drove almost 9 million miles over that 10-year time period. Then he said the conditions the sheriff's department drive under are extraordinary, and that if I do the math on their accident rate, it would be much lower than an average driver operating a vehicle under normal conditions. Well, if you look right above this paragraph, Sergeant Grassman already did the math on their accident rate using the numbers from my records request, and according to him, it averages out to be about 3.4 auto liability claims every month for 10 years straight. Does that sound like it's much lower than an average driver operating a vehicle under normal conditions? In closing his email, Sergeant Grassman suggested that I also make the same inquiry to a similarly large sheriff's office, such as Los Angeles or San Bernardino County, saying that I won't find a law enforcement agency with a better record than his. I just don't understand how asking the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department will help me figure out why a Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy backed into and ran over an elderly bicyclist and then just drove off after like nothing happened. I don't know how me asking the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department will help me figure out why 2 Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies left their patrol vehicle in gear while pursuing a suspect on foot, causing the vehicle to roll backwards out of control, eventually running over the suspect they were pursuing. Or why there's been such a consistently high rate of Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies getting in car crashes over the past 10 years. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think Sergeant Grassman gave a good response? Do you think we deserve more answers in regards to this situation? If you like my work, make sure to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and share this video.
On behalf of the men and women of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, thank you for watching and sharing this video.
The Sheriff's Office claims the deputy had no idea what happened, but how?
How does a deputy not know that they hit someone?
Maybe a belief or a perception that the officer had hit a curb.
A lot of people would argue there's a lot of accountability with this deputy that was involved, in a way looked at as people in our community that should have the highest situational awareness, regardless of whatever situation they are in at the time.